Hey, David Breslow back here with you from mentalgolfcoaching.com. In today's mental golf training tip, I would like to talk to you about talking, of all things. Most of the golfers I know and talk to talk a lot about their game. Talk, 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 talk. Unfortunately, the majority of the talk is about what's not working. Hey Dave, I'm not as confident as I want to be. I'm not as consistent as I want to be. I'm losing power. I messed up on a couple of short chips and putts today, and on and on and on the story goes. Most golfers spend the majority of their talking time on the negative parts of their game. Let me tell you a little story. I was working with Chip Beck prior to his entrance into the Champions Tour, which, as you may know, is the tour for the professional golfers over the age of 50. At that time, he was in his late 48 or early 49, and playing on the developmental tours against the 20, 21, 22-year-olds, trying to get his game back. Now, many golfers know Chip's story. There was a 7-year period there where he basically just lost his swing, and he basically didn't make a cut for 7 years either. He lost his PGA card, lost a whole lot of things, and was searching to try to get his swing back. Talked to many different swing coaches, a lot of the sports psychologists, the famous big name sports psychologists that you probably know, and eventually he got to me. And when we first spoke on the phone, he immediately started downloading all the things that weren't working. Hey, last year, Dave, this happened, and 6 months ago, this happened, and just last week, this happened, and on and on and on it went. So I let that go for a little while, and I eventually stopped him, and I said, Chip, here's something you may not realize yet, but let me tell you this. The more you tell your story, the more you're doomed to repeat the experience, and that's what I want to say to you as well. So he had never heard that before. He says, well, nobody ever told me that before. I said, well, most people want to hear your story. Most people in the sports psychology arena or peak performance business want to hear your story. But because I function and teach laws, I'm telling you that by law, the more you tell your story, the more you're doomed to repeat the experience of it. You don't know that yet, but you know it by experience. So in a couple minutes, I just proved to him why that was true, and he was pretty much blown away. Anyway, the message for you here today is the majority of golfers I know and that I speak to will gladly tell me a story that is mostly based on what's not working. So here's my advice to you today. The next time you hear yourself talking to anybody, because golfers do this, they'll tell their story to anybody, your spouse, your kids, your co-workers, your golfing buddies, your golfing partners, whoever they are. Golfers love to tell their story. So next time you hear yourself talking about your story, meaning any of the limiting or negative kinds of comments that you like to share with people, do this simple exercise. In your own head, in your own mind, you don't have to do it out loud, just say the word awake. Awake. A-W-A-K-E. Awake. Now, this may sound funny, but what often happens is the moment you say that word, you catch yourself as you realize you're telling this story and you're about to continue on with it. And when you say the word awake, what happens is you create a buffer. You have a hesitation. Number one, you stop telling the story. And number two is you're now a little more conscious. You're more consciously awake. Because when golfers tell their stories, they're not doing it consciously. It's just a stream of unconsciousness that comes out of our mouths, isn't it? Does it really take very much for you to start telling your story? I doubt it. It pretty much happens automatically, doesn't it? This is one way to break that unconscious pattern of automatically speaking a story that's literally not helping you. So, number one point, the more you tell your story, the more you're doomed to repeat the experience. If you don't believe me, look at how often you tell your story and look at how often you're still having the experience. Point number two, the next time you catch yourself telling your story, and it doesn't matter if it's the first sentence in, first word, 2 or 3 sentences in, it doesn't matter. The moment you catch it, just silently say to yourself, awake, awake. Or you can say, wake up. Either one of those will get your mind now on a different track, and you will start to be more conscious. You will immediately be more conscious, and when that happens, you will almost automatically start changing your words on your own. That's the beauty of this. So, again, talk, talk, talk. Don't just change your self-talk. I'm giving you a tried and true process that automatically wakes you up from the sleepy self-talk, is what I call it, into the conscious, awake talk, which will automatically happen once you say to yourself silently, awake, or wake up. Dave Breslow, glad to be with you again. Would love to hear your comments here in cyberspace. You're more than welcome to visit www.mentalgolfcoaching.com. Good luck with this one. This really works. Take care.